This is a processed world. This is only a processed world. Had this been the real world, you would have been instructed to turn on your radio.
Well, I've been on lots of job interviews now, and bosses tend to hire me quick. But I don't know how to kowtow. Sooner or later they always say, "Chick, you got a bad attitude on you. You got a bad attitude. Yeah, your language is lewd and your viewpoint is skewed. You got a bad attitude." I've got a bad attitude. I've got a bad attitude. Well, I'm not one to suffer fools lightly, especially when they're paid more than me. Well, I try to treat them politely. I guess my feelings are too hard to see. I got a bad attitude. I guess it's true. I got a bad attitude. Well, I don't mean to be rude, but my resentment shines through. I got a bad attitude.
Processed World, the radio magazine with a bad attitude. Episode 1, Attitude Adjustment Seminar.
Sorry I'm late, but I woke up with my period and found my box of tampons had turned to dandelions. Gone to seed, just like on the TV ads.
As the world wakes up, I wake up.
I left for work early in my new ruby slippers. And an awful wind took me from the bus stop, carried me all the way to the Kmart, into the arms of a Scientologist buying oil in the hardware section.
Wouldn't you rather be a salvaged being with your dynamics aligned and your ethics in?
He helped me find myself, my shoes. In the elevator, a supervisor smelled my briefcase, told me tuna sandwiches have been banned in the secretarial pool. I snacked between the 8th and 11th floors and had to wash my face. Honestly, I woke up in time, but my Harley-Davidson is missing a cylinder. I had to move Mozart from the shower. I swear the calendar read 1958. The cat knocked over the moon. I slept in.
There was a feeling of uncertainty involved in my returning to work after a long vacation, compounded in equal measures of disgust and relief. Disgust because I had to submit once again to wage labor in general and to the peculiar rituals of corporate life in particular. Relief because my survival conditions were not going to be as precarious as I had feared earlier that week. Somebody who surrenders to a blackmail scheme must feel the same way, despite his attempts to reassure himself that he's doing the right thing under the circumstances. After all, consider the alternatives. What else can you do? He cannot conceal from himself the humiliation that lurks at the bottom of his stomach. Immediately after I walked in, introduced myself to the supervisor, and found an empty seat, I was put to work transcribing a tedious legal document dictated by a disembodied individual who sounded as if he made it a habit to speak with pebbles in his mouth. What struck me about this was that my supervisor had tacitly assumed that what counted in this job, as no doubt with hers, was the what and not the why. You had a job to do, and you did it. And since that unwritten rule obtained in every other corporation, regardless of whether this firm did management consulting, real estate speculation, or constructing nuclear power plants, what difference does it make if the purpose of it all is known? It comes down to the same thing no matter where you work. No matter what job you do, you can learn everything there is to know about it in a matter of minutes. After that, there's only details. Sometimes perverse, sometimes complicated, but always insignificant in comparison to the basic structure of the tasks performed. About an hour after I'd walked in, I felt that I'd been working there for months, and I still didn't know what the company did in the first place.
Keep Jane's fingers dancing.
Secretary Jane's keystroke count can slump any time. During the first hour of work before sleep's cobwebs have cleared, at 11:45 when thoughts of lunch intervene, or after 3 o'clock in that mid-afternoon doldrum. Whenever it happens, PRESS, Performance Reinforcement Electronics and Software System, is ready to help. If Jane's count drops below your chosen margin for more than 3 minutes, a subliminal warning flickers at the top of the screen. And if Jane still hasn't pulled herself together after 2 more minutes, a healthy 1-second jolt of 50 volts pulses out of her specially modified keyboard and grounds harmlessly through her chair. It's guaranteed to get her moving again. And if Jane steps away from her desk for more than 3 minutes without prior supervisor approval, PRESS will dole out a similar jolt as a little corrective reminder when she sits down to work again. PRESS, the automated zap that gives your workers zip.
From Contech, people like you helping people like us help ourselves.
Dear Processed World.
Dear Process World, the place where I work is unbelievably straight. Today I was blowing my nose in the bathroom stall, and my schnoz was going honk, honk, as it is wont to do. I noticed by the little white slingbacks under the next stall that the old bosso was trying to take her little dump right there, next to pink-collared little me. So to get her embarrassed, I said, "It sounds just like a moose call, doesn't it?" Another pink-collared slave would have giggled or said, "I thought that was you." My boss said nothing. When we got out to the old sinks, I took my time washing my hands next to the old boss. She still said nothing. I was taking such liberties. I hope she thought I was referring to her old dried-up sphincter. It might be a good idea to pass on. Talk to your bosses in the bathroom. You can't get in trouble. No one's doing any work. It gets them all upset because A, the human side of them is exposed, if you will, B, they're at your mercy, and C, if you act real sunny and bright, they can't say you're being obscene, and that gets them even more. Try it. Love, R.M. Atlanta.
Dear Process World, where there is a need for sabotage, it's so easy just to put an out-of-order sign on the Xerox machine. Paper, courtesy AT&T. Love, M., San Francisco.
Pooper Scooper U, a pet hospital stuck like a hairball in the throat of one of San Francisco's poshest enclaves. I got myself hired as a receptionist there in a moment of economic panic. 3 months later, the obsessive cockersuckers and poodle diddlers that stump and stagger through PU's piddle-varnished portals have me baring my teeth. So has my supervisor, an obese Sha-Na-Na fan and neo-Nazi known to the rest of us girls as the Elephant Woman. Not to mention the stunningly meager pay rate, $3.75 an hour, or the exalted status I enjoy as one of the kickballs on the front desk. But the best part of this 9 to 6 stint is that it offers no opportunity for advancement, let alone for taking a creative 5 minutes on the crapper. The very personal habits of the doctors must also be considered at all times. One never snarls, "Young doctor is having a bowel movement, and if everything comes out all right, he'll call you back." Rather, one chirps, Doctor is presently in long-distance consultation with the Philippines. When he's through, he'll be most happy to guide your beloved Doberman through the miraculous journey of her first natural birthing." Yes, PU's receptionists must know their stuff, especially over the phone. Suppose a young interior decorator wants his cat declawed and dyed violet within 3 days. Never mind the cat's feelings. Will it be detrimental to the orange-focused bedroom scheme? And telephone procedure is inflexible. When a pug plummets from a 7th-story window and the owner inquires, "Juno's listless. Do you think it's due to the fall?" you must go through the catechism with the demure calm of a nun on Valium. Has he seen a doctor since the accident? Is he bleeding? Is his stool abnormal? Is he vomiting? Is he eating? Amen. Well, he hasn't really moved much. He just lies on his back, and he's sort of stiff when I pet him. Then, and only then, you coo. Sir, here is the number of Bubbling Wells Pet Cemetery, located in picturesque Sonoma. Most traditional feminine occupations exploit our maternal impulses. The teacher's aide, cleaning up after brutish children, and the secretary, after childish brutes. PU expects its desk jockeys to extend this motherly attitude, not only to the furry parasites which are its patients, but to their owners and the doctors as well. No one but a congenital idiot would pursue a clerical career at PU. Even the pink-collar hobos, the temp worker types who change jobs the way richer women change hairstyles, don't stop here much. They choke on the mingled stench of piss, puke, and panic even before they hear about the pay. The rest, like the patients, they come in combinations of 4 basic shades: newborn, desperate, decrepit, and anesthetized. Girls fresh out of high school, grabbing for the bottom rung. Shell-shocked divorcees, tiptoeing timidly into the labor market. Weary spinsters whom inflation has elbowed out of an early retirement. Aging young ladies, still listening for the hoofbeats of Prince Charming's charger. Solidarity might as well be a brand of margarine to most of them, especially Ms. Fink, whose favorite trick is to yell at her colleagues for making filing errors just as the elephant woman lumbers by. Some even join in the guilting bee, like prim little Jersey and Pearls, who never tires of asking, "But isn't it the animals we're here for?" Only the real basket cases can stand it for long. PU's door doesn't just revolve, it spins like a centrifuge. So, goodbye to Pooper Scooper U. Goodbye to the puppy paramedic corps and its pissing and moaning, yapping and scratching clientele. Goodbye, too, to the Cat Care Club, where tortoiseshell curry combs and French satin ribbons decorate lumps of hairy fat that can hardly waddle from bowl to box to bed. Goodbye to being ranked lower in the scheme of things than Persians and their fleas, pit bulls and their diarrhea. Goodbye to all the mental cases who hallucinate an intimate world of love and understanding around retarded mutant carnivores like Elmo the Basset Hound, known to his owner as the only man in my life. My case is closed, but there will be many more to follow in my footsteps on this particular hamster wheel. A world which mass-produces loneliness and boredom always a little faster than it mass-produces the merchandise meant to make up for them. We'll see to that.
We think it'll benefit the world.
And now it's time to play Endgame, the fascinating maze of employment and unemployment. The game that lasts a lifetime.
Square one. Welcome to the job market.
Square 2, an interview. Lie and go ahead 5 squares. Tell the truth and go back 1 square.
Square 3, 1,957 people in line ahead of you. Wait 2 turns.
Square 4, you're hired. Raise salary $100.
Square 5, great job. You love it. You're fired. Go to temping.
Temping. Collect salary. Mark time for 3 turns, then return to square 1.
Square 6, incredibly boring job. Stay put 2 turns.
Square 7, you're ambitious. Management training. Move forward 1 square.
Square 8, you become the assistant chief to the chief assistant to the chief assistant chief. You can't go back, and you never move again.
Square 9. Your novel is discovered in secret computer file. 1 warning slip.
Square 10, you pilfer supplies. It feels good. 1 extra turn.
Square 11, co-worker snitches. 1 warning slip.
Square 12, nervous breakdown. You're out of the game.
Square 13. Uh-oh, bus is late. 1 warning slip.
Square 14. Work 33 hours straight. Scratch 1 warning slip and miss 1 turn from exhaustion.
Roll dice.
1 or 3, you're a hero. Take an extra turn.
2 or 5, government agency shows up. Nothing happens.
4 or 6, mafia breaks your legs. Lose job.
Square 15. Blow whistle on company's waste dumping.
Square 16, company bankrupt, union busted. You're laid off. Go to unemployment.
Square 17. Social revolution. Game ends. Everyone wins. Burn money. Throw away game.
Long ago, there were rebellions, but they were suppressed. And with each century, the slaves acquired more rights under the law. They received rights to medicine, the right to government payments in their old age. And they slowly learned to be content.
Slavery evolving into an institution.
We think it'll benefit the world.
The worst nightmare of the business messenger is the run where he delivers an envelope containing the means of his own undoing. The manila envelope that he swiftly carries cross town contains the pink slip from his employers that will end this job and force him to look for another. The envelope encloses a medical report that will condemn the messenger to a lifetime of illness. The envelope carries letters from one great power to another that will involve him unwittingly in sordid intrigues which will seal his fate. In fact, the messenger is always delivering the means of his own undoing, if only in the smallest ways. Every message is stained with a tiny drop of blood, and the immensity of delivered packages and envelopes and commodity forms of all kinds is a sea of life's blood, flowing from the exploited walkwork of the small army of messengers into the ocean of blood of all the world's exploited and oppressed and enslaved labor, down through history.
To NASA with love. On with the space program. Shuttles shall not cease. And since you're taking citizens, take my boss, please.
0, all engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Opinions. They're personal, like the teeth glistening on their wire next to the bedside, like the numeric ID rigid between leather, the new upholstery, and the prescription for rest. Each morning a fresh catalog sprouts rolled up on the doorstep. For him, something restrained and conservative, polished mandibles and gunmetal finish. For her, the very thing, fluffy with lots of tiny bells. A whole set on foreign affairs nestles in the purse or the lunchbox, so many we're giving them away by the squirming handful. At party time they whine and scratch at the door. You let them in and they frolic on the carpet, trailing silvery threads of drool. How cute! Where did he learn that? I prefer 8 legs myself. But careful, after a few drinks they can get nasty. A toothy little skull crunched underfoot, and who asked for yours? Best to keep them on a leash at all times. Make sure they get plenty of blood for when our smile comes to the door with a clipboard asking to see them. Then bet on the favorite and watch it coming ahead Friday on the late news. Above all, be sure to lock them indoors at night, safe from the floating shadow with owl's eyes, whose wing beats trouble your sleep into sweat and waking rage. Remember, they alone are the measure of your freedom. Without them, we could never decide what is best for you.
At the bus stop, a blue Chevy pulls up. "Hey," the man says, "I don't know you, but if you don't mind missing work, I'll take you to the park and bludgeon you to death." "Okay," I say, and get in.
I wasn't listened to when I needed to be. That is really the root of it all. Convicted without a trial. Give me a chance, for Christ's sake. I'm only human. I only have 2 hands. I can only do things so fast. They expected more of me than I could give, and they punished me for not being able to give it. They screamed their demands into my ear till I was so nervous I couldn't think straight. My hands were shaking, so I dropped what I was carrying. I couldn't do what they demanded because I was too nervous. And they said it was my fault. They didn't listen to my defense. If you'd be easier on me, I could do it better. They would just rejoin, we have no place for softies here. If you're not tough enough to handle the job, we'll find someone who can. You can be replaced, you know. I never said I didn't want to work. I said I didn't want to crawl around on all fours and eat shit and say yes, sir, to some jerk with half my intelligence. Now, if that's what they mean by working, then no, I don't want to work. But truly, people, I had thought working was something very different from that.
Dear Processed World.
Dear Processed World, your issue 4 gave me more laughs than anything I've read since the IWW pamphlets. You seem to be hung up in your development somewhere in the 20s, when an intelligent being could still believe Marxist bullshit. Fantasies about sabotaging computers, fighting work quotas, and assassinating bosses illustrate your failure to understand what the world's all about. Denigrate, if you must, the childish $50,000 a year executive, but realize that it may be only his childish desire to live in Frisco, rather than in Colorado or Korea, that keeps your job around. On that great day when you smash the VDTs and hold the files hostage, you'll suddenly find, as the air traffic controllers did, that society isn't impressed with your tantrums. It's true that a concerted labor uprising can break a company. It's happened before, and it'll happen again. As long as we have people who, as we said in the old army, shit in their own mess kits. But a bankrupt company pays no wages, so where will you be? If the burden of applying yourself to your job, so the customer is assured the best deal for the money, doesn't appeal to you, then snivel, whine, cheat, steal, and bullshit your way through life, because you are nothing but a sniveling, whining, bullshitting, thieving bullshitter. But keep quiet about it, because we already have more of you than we need. Walter E. Wallace, Wallace Engineering.
When we start work at 5 p.m., usually there are still secretaries and executives in the offices. Some of the offices have people working a swing shift using computers. Compared to ours, their job seems really free. They spend a lot of time talking on the phone, and they can drink coffee or a Coke whenever they feel like it. Day shift workers are really condescending compared to swing shift office workers. They wear typical office clothes, little suits, heels, nylons. The night shift wears blue jeans and has less of a status-oriented attitude toward the janitors. I guess they figure we aren't all that much below a word processor when all is said and done. But there is still this attitude of, geez, I'm glad I'm not scrubbing commodes for a living. That sort of lets you know that they might go out for a beer with the boys from the mailroom. But there is a limit. Sometimes we get around to, how much do they pay you guys anyway? And some are shocked to find out they make less than a janitor, for God's sakes. But still in all, they are a hell of a lot nicer than even the most sympathetic executive types. We can't use the phones at night. 10,000 friggin' phones. And we have to go to the goddamn basement to make a phone call and race 30 other guys to be first. On a normal night, I dump trash for a couple of hours. It's one of the most disagreeable aspects of janitorial work, along with scrubbing the crappers. Trash tells a lot about people. They put all kinds of horrible stuff in their trash cans. It really offends us janitors. How can they put coffee in a trash can? Don't they realize it gets all over us when we empty the can? I hate those cup of soup things, and takeout Chinese the most. Ugh. It's sticky and messy, and after 4 or 5 hours, or over a weekend, it stinks to high hell. Now after dumping trash, it's time to scrub the crappers. It's impossible to really ever accept this job. I've scrubbed 1 million of them, and I still hate it. People smoke in the crapper, so there's a film of tobacco smoke all over the walls and mirrors. The foreman comes around and rubs a towel over all the vertical surfaces, and if he finds grease, smoke, or whatever, you get a slip. Or at least he bitches at you, and you have to clean them again. For some reason, the women throw paper on the floor around the commodes. There is always water all over the place, too. And of course, hair from hairbrushes thrown on the floor, makeup, all that kind of stuff. The little sanitary boxes in the stalls are rarely anything but, with all manner of junk in there besides sanitary napkins, neatly wrapped in toilet paper. This means that the box has to be cleaned of mayonnaise, Coca-Cola, or whatever else is spilled all over the inside. Now I can take Tampax. That's what the friggin' box is for. But I resent all the damned lunchroom garbage that requires extra time and effort to clean up. What kind of person eats their lunch in a toilet stall? The men are not better. They pee on the floor around the urinals, and it never enters their heads that it is their fault and they should bend down and wipe it up. Who trained these people on how to use a public restroom anyway? The last stall in line in every men's room is always the one with the sports section, and usually the one with the sticky copy of Club magazine. How a grown man can masturbate in a public restroom during working hours is beyond me. I couldn't even do that as a kid, much less now. I always wonder who these guys are. Director of marketing? Vice president in charge of bent paper clips? The mailroom kid? And of course the butts. Always cigarette ashes and butts on the floor. Sometimes booze bottles in the hand towel trash can. And why do men crap on the seat and fail to wipe it off? The women do. So what's wrong with the men? All of us. The word processor, the VDT jockey, the receptionist, file clerk, temp, janitor, engineer, even the bicycle messenger, are all victims of, vital components of, supporters of, plotters against the system of modern business life, if you can call this shit a life. I'm up for it. Unplug the friggin' system.
Processed World, a radio program, was produced and directed by Pinhead Schuler in a shameless effort to promote the 10th anniversary of Processed World magazine. If you liked what you heard, you'll love the magazine. Subscriptions are $15, samples $5. Write to Processed World, 41 Sutter Street, Suite 1829, San Francisco, California, 94104. That's 41 Sutter Street, Suite 1829, San Francisco, California, 94104.
We think it'll benefit the world.
We've really interfaced long enough, you know. And the liveware will be home before midnight, so let's get started, okay? You like my architecture, don't you? I know you've probably heard some real grody stuff about me down at the user group, but it's really not true. I mean, I am kind of user-friendly, but I'm not a multi-user or time-sharing system like some of those girls down on the beach. I'm just into good, healthy integration between compatible systems. And you look like a real prototype. Not like some guys I've met. It's like they're all either hackers or tweaks or frobnicating fools. I got myself mixed up with a naive user last week, a real soft error. My fault for trying to pick up someone through a bulletin board. And then there was this whiz kid I met last month at Winter Comdex. He keeps feeding me this cybercud all night. And then this bit twiddler lasts about a nanosecond, you know? I mean, with most guys, it's just garbage in, garbage out, totally mung. But you look like you really know protocol. See anything you like on the menu? Ooh, I like a hands-on kind of guy. How'd you know I had a touch-sensitive screen? Oh, you've really got a nice diagnostic routine. Yes, I have been told I got great components. Now, let's get access to that joystick. Ooh, just a microsecond and I'll make that floppy disk stand up and run some programs. I'm gonna make like Pac-Man with this tool. Nibble. Gulp. Ooh, your software's turning into hardware. Oops, sorry, like, did I bite? Wow, you've really got a Moby Dick. What's that? You want to get interactive? I usually like to be asynchronous, but I'm game. Oh, yes. I do like this configuration with you. You really know what to do with my control key. Oh, yes, lick my Honeywell. Like, I can't wait anymore. I want you in my disk drive now. Wait, I have to put in my removable disk. What would Dr. Roos say if I didn't? Like, wow, fatal error, you know? Now the automatic self-test and my wetware is ready. Come on, lover, fill my expansion slot. Oh, wow, we're really online. Yes, wrap around. Oh, come on, upload, download, upload, download. Whoa, what a power surge. Ram it in me. Hey, wait, not yet. Use your surge suppressor. That's right. Oh, yes. Upload, download, upload, download. Come on. Scroll, 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 scroll. Come on. Shoot that inkjet printer in me. Oh, yes. Come, come, come. OEM, VARM, DOS, CPU-C, DOS, ASCII, CPM, CPM. Wow, that was awesome. You really zapped my screen like I saw graphics, you know? I mean, like I'm still toggling. That was totally elegant, for sure.